afternoon. I would like to thank the Leukocyte Society for giving us the opportunity to present our work, and also a special thank to my co-authors. I personally do not have any conflicts of interest, but the disclosures of my co-authors can be found at the Academy's website. Diagnosis of PJI, periprosthetic joint infection, is currently a very challenging problem. There is no absolute test, hence clinicians who encounter a suspected patient with PJI have to use a combination of tests, all of which, besides their expense, can be invasive, and even they can't provide 100% accuracy. The diagnosis is even more challenging when the cultures are negative. The recent literature suggests that culture-negative PJIs can be up to 35% of the cases. Leukocyte esterase is a well-established test for diagnosing PJIs, now part of the diagnostic criteria. It is inexpensive and widely available. And the purpose of our study was to see the utility of leukocyte esterase in diagnosing PJI in patients with negative cultures. We therefore conducted a retrospective study and included patients who underwent revision arthroplasty between 2009 and 2018, and included ones who had available leukocyte esterase results and negative culture. Patients who underwent reimplantation procedure were removed from this cohort. We ended up having 294 patients, 251 of which were aseptic revisions, and we had 43 septic revisions. There were no statistical difference between the demographics of the two groups, and we used the recommended thresholds by the manufacturer to determine positive leukocyte esterase. We calculated the sensitivity, the specificity, positive and negative predictive value, and positive and negative likelihood ratio in these patients. When 2+ threshold was used for leukocyte esterase, it was very specific by 97%, but as you can see, it lacked sensitivity by about 30%. But then when we combined the 1+ and 2+, at a cost of losing 5% specificity, the sensitivity reached about 95%, and I would like to grab your attention to the negative predictive value that was 99.58%, almost reaching 100%. This study had some limitations, and first of all, it was a retrospective study with all its inherited limitations. We only included MSIS-positive patients for infection, meaning that our cohort can underestimate the patients who had negative cultures, but in fact were infected and did not reach enough positive criteria to be called MSIS positive. And going back to the previous graphs, the leukocyte esterase strep test is designed for urine. And I think that's one of the major issues for using leukocyte esterase for diagnosing PJI, because as you can see, wherever you use 2+, the sensitivity is very low and its specificity is extremely high. And by experience, I can tell you, these positive patients are the ones that you can look at the patient and know that the patient is infected. Whereas when you have 1+, it is very sensitive, but the specificity drops down. So I believe there's a dire need for a new way to measure leukocyte esterase in synovial fluid that can be tailored and designed for diagnosing PJI. At the same time, you need to keep in mind that leukocyte esterase in this particular setting is used to rule out infection, and I think considering 1+ and 2+ can actually deliver that promise, because the negative predictive value is almost 100%. So we do believe that leukocyte esterase test can be used to rule out infection wherever in doubt, and is a great tool for patients that have negative culture but are suspected to have PJI. Thank you.